Hey guys, what it do? It's your boy Supreme Uchiha the God, and in this video, I want to just break down the fight between Gojo and Sukuna and talk about the one major factor that I think was in Sukuna's favor, that Gojo didn't have, and that is information. But first, leave a like and subscribe if you got, what I'm saying. If you're listen, if you're a special grade, you already liked and subscribed. If you weak, then we know you just gonna skip the video. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't got the crust energy to survive this domain expansion. Um, but yeah. So what I think happened with Gojo versus Sukuna, I think Gege. I don't want to say he fumbled it, but I think he did Gojo and the students a disservice. Um, because I'm okay with Sukuna winning. I think Sukuna winning and even his final slash is fine and dandy. But it's not just even the students. Angel is the biggest fumbler out of that fight. Angel is ultimately why Gojo lost. The students too, but I think Angel takes the heavy majority of the blame. Um, the students know that Sukuna uses an open domain, right? Now people are gonna say, but Yuji's brother didn't see it. No, he mentions it in the chapter after fighting when the fighting Kenjaku and to find out he has an open domain. He mentions that if he has one, Sukuna probably has one as well. So he should be aware. That should be the information he gives to Gojo. Yuji also knows this information. He should give this to Gojo. If we saw what Gojo did with when he was caught off guard and he didn't know that Sukuna had an open domain, he figured it out, tanked through it, and managed to actually win 3 domain clashes later by dominating him inside his domain. This is him figuring out on the fly in the moment. Now imagine if he knew this for a month, that this guy has an open barrier domain. If he knew this for a month and they told him it slashes things like Yuji should know. If he knew this for a month, he definitely would have came up with some crazy ass counter. And I think him not knowing this information, I think was Gege's way of nerfing him. Because if he knew this information, I think he would have spanked Sukuna here. Because I think he would have made a small domain, and I think he would have been changing the property depending on how Sukuna changed the property for his. And I think that would have changed the outcome of the domain clash. And it also would have changed the outcome if we say, hey, an era versus current Gojo or whatever. And I think that's a relevant information here when people say, hey, an era would have smashed because he made it harder for himself. But I mean, Gege made it harder for Gojo. You know what I'm saying? Like, the actual fucking writer of the story was nerfing Gojo, right? So I think that's just it. I just really feel he got nerfed by information. More information that he got nerfed by. And this is on Angel here. And that is that Sukuna can learn anything immediately by seeing it as long as it's curse energy related and not innate technique related. Angel says this while watching Sukuna and Gojo fight. But obviously, she didn't tell this to Gojo. If she had told this to Gojo, Gojo would have dodged that final slash. Right? Gojo wouldn't have just stood there and thinking he's fucking infinite, he's limitless would tank it, right? Because Gojo's thought was Maharaga is the weapon and the shield. Maharaga is the person that will do the cutting, because when Maharaga sent that slash and cut Gojo's arm, if Gojo knew the information that Sukuna can also just do shit if it's and he knows he has slashes, and he's like, okay, if Maharaga just did that, Sukuna can probably do that. Gojo would have dodged that shit. So another fucking convenient piece of information left out. That's all she need to say. Listen, anything to do with curse energy, if he knows what the fuck is happening, he can figure that shit out immediately or in a very short span of time. It took him a second to do what Maharaga did because it was a hard ass thing for him to figure out, but he figured it out in a few minutes and he did it, and he won the fight because of it, right? So again, if Gojo knows this information, he does not let that shit happen. He fucking teleports or he dodges that shit and he fucking one shots Sukuna and it's GG. Another hollow purple, a red, whatever the fuck, he's gone. You know what I'm saying? Because Sukuna was in no fucking condition, or he reincarnates, and Gojo is already in full replenish mode, and he still cooks him. You know what I'm saying? So and even if he sends that bracket version of the slashes that he sent to to Kashimo, Gojo can fucking teleport out the way because he now knows that that shit is not blockable. So he can just teleport behind Sukuna and fucking smack him up. So anyways, Gojo got nerfed, and that is exactly why he lost. And he got nerfed by Gege. I wanted to blame the students and I wanted to blame Angel, but it literally does not make sense that they did not tell him this information. He might slap in a flashback later to try to rectify this, but I think it's already BS because Gojo never mentions any of this information. He seems shocked, beduffled, bamboozled, and fucking caught off guard so many times in that fight, and then just manages to fucking sneak his way out because he's a fucking genius. And Sukuna obviously is a genius too. So a genius with prep versus a genius with no prep, the genius with prep is always gonna win, especially when they're that comparable. And I think that's ultimately what got Sukuna to win. He knew about Infinite Void. If he did not know about Infinite Void, he probably would have lost. He knew so many information. You know what I'm saying? He knew about the Limitless. He knew about Purple. He knew about every fucking technique Gojo had. Gojo had to fucking invent shit on the fly during the fucking fight, or maybe he practiced some of that shit that he ended up pulling out of his bag during the fight. But again, the key information that Gojo needed, he didn't have. The key information that Sukuna needed, he did have. That's it. That's really all I want to say. It's been your boy Supreme Uchiha the God. I'm out.